Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm excited to be joined again by my friend and business partner, Mr. Michael Vincent. We do these shows every week on sustainability with cost savings. So that's fun work. How are you doing today, Michael?
I'm doing fabulous today. I'm doing the entrepreneur thing, dude. Up till 2 o'clock in the morning, back up at 6, work another 14, 15 hours. The weekend's coming, which means those 15, 16-hour days will only be 8 to 10. Give yourself an extra 5 hours off because it's the weekend and move on. But it's exciting stuff because you know what? We're making a difference, right? We're making a difference for companies and people in the right way. Right. We're building some products and some services here. They're going to make people help them be more sustainable, more profitable, and help the planet and help hopefully millions and millions of people in the process. And that's
Absolutely. So let me
yeah,
give some specifics.
easy for you to say, Andy.
Exactly. Easy for me to say. My gosh. So we're delivering 10 to 23% net cost reduction on fuel.
Yeah.
That's net cost reduction. Take your fuel bill. If you could reduce it by 10%, what would that be? If you could reduce it by 23%, what would that be?
Right.
We're also working together on plastics waste reduction and ways to utilize or sell
Yeah.
plastics, right?
Hey, hit me up after you see this or after you just heard Andy say that. Well, you got to watch the rest of the show because I've got the test results that'll show that that's not like a maybe thing. That 10 to 23%. 70 million gallons of diesel can't all be wrong.
Right. Right, exactly. No, it's so fun. We're working with some big fleets now and rolling it out. In fact, we're going global with it. So things are awesome on that front. And likewise on the plastics recycling front, basically, and having a market you can sell those plastics to or you reuse them. That's growing and going overseas
Yeah, we've
as well.
we've gone from South Africa to the United States to the Caribbean. We're now officially in the Americas.
That's
I
right.
mean, how about that? We're going global.
Absolutely. It's so much fun. I love
It
it
is.
because we can help these companies save money, make more money, both, and they're also being more sustainable. So that is so much fun, being able to do that. So our,
Absolutely is, dude.
our big topic for today, why sustainability is now part of your operations, right? I got this article from Supply and Demand Chain Executive. I've followed this publication for many years, right?
Okay.
And I saw this come across in my email and I started digging into it a little bit. And a lot of it just makes a whole lot of sense. But what they're saying, just for starters, is
Okay.
there was a big move, January 2024, the first major sustainability regulation, the EU's CSRD, comes into effect. It's a watershed moment because we must move from the theory of sustainability to the practice of sustainability. So that's a pretty big deal. And in fact, I've had a couple of meetings within the last 2 weeks where it's been mentioned twice. EU CSRD is a real thing and it's underway.
Yeah, I mean, if you deal in the European markets or somebody, it's like 6 degrees of bacon, dude. I don't know if you've ever played that game, right? You name
Yeah.
an actor and you gotta get to Kevin Bacon within 6 other names, which is really hard to not get to bacon. I it should be anti-bacon, right? Like if you can say name somebody that's not linked to Kevin Bacon within 6 moves, then you win the prize. But you're impacted, right? Because it is anybody who's doing business there, even on American soil, has got to comply to these new regulations with the carbon. It's the tax, excise tax, et cetera, that they're looking at. Scope 3 emissions, bro.
That's
You
right.
may be you may be on that list right now. You don't know it until somebody who's dealing over there comes and knocks on the door and goes, we sell a lot of stuff in Liechtenstein. And you're like, Liechtenstein? I thought that was a fairy tale castle. No, it's actually a real place.
And I talk to fleet executives quite a bit, so do you. And
Yeah.
this topic of my customers are asking me for data.
Yeah.
What are you doing to drive greenhouse gas emission reduction and carbon reductions? Like Give me the data. Not, we're a green company. We're a part of Smartway, EPA Smartway. That's
Yeah.
just not enough at all anymore. Not a close.
No, it really isn't. You've got to have that. You've got to have the data, and a lot of times you've got to have that certification, right? Giving them the data opens you up to some issues unless you've got somebody willing to stand by that data and say, "Hey, this actually works." Right? You've got to test.
Right. Now, there have been some companies, specifically in the trading space, right, that have
Yes.
gotten in trouble for this thing called greenwashing, right?
Yeah, yes, I've heard of that.
Reporting more impact than is actually happening and getting investment money because of that. There's been several that have gotten in trouble for that. And
Yeah, I believe there's new legislation that is also going to take effect in California that deals with that, right? We've talked about that, right? You've
yeah,
got to be able to back up your greenwashing, or not your greenwashing, but like your carbon credits, et cetera. If you imply, you've got to back it up, right?
that's right. Yes. If you imply on your information that would drive revenue or drive investment, yeah, you've got to be able to back it up with actual proof.
Yeah,
Actual proof. So yeah, there's this California's Climate Corporate Data Accountability Act, the CCDAA.
that's the
It's
one.
expected to affect roughly 5,200 companies, is what it says. And the commercial impact will affect every company operating in those companies' supply chains. That's what it says.
So is this like the old, hair shampoo commercial? I told two friends, and they told two friends, and they told two friends, and they told two friends. 5,200 companies are affected directly, and then everybody who deals with those 5,200 companies are also affected directly. Really, you can call it indirect, but it's really direct, right? Because now you've got to be able to prove yours to them, so they can prove theirs to the CCDAA.
That's
These
right.
acronyms are getting way too long, bro. We need more letters in the alphabet so we can start shortening these again.
That is quite an acronym, CCDAA. But
Yeah,
yeah, you're right though. It's the people that are working with those 5,200 companies are affected, directly affected. You may call it indirect, but they're, I'm meeting with executives and they're telling me their customers are saying to them, show me year over year results in terms of these numbers in sustainability. Give me the
right.
numbers, not a paragraph of gobbledygook. They want
Yeah,
the
yeah. I don't want to see a paragraph from your monthly investors announcement or
right, exactly.
information. That's not it.
Yeah. And so, we've talked about on our show scope one, scope two, and scope three emissions.
Yeah,
The largest pool of emissions is scope three because it's all of your suppliers' emissions.
it's interesting because I love to argue semantics and data and all this other kind of stuff. So 72% of scope three, I mean, that's actually scope one. It's your scope one is somebody else's scope three, right?
Right.
And if you're in supply chain, you're a whole bunch of people scope three. Right.
Right. Right.
So
Exactly.
that's you. And 72% of your customers issue here is you. That's the way I look at this, right?
Right. Right.
It's not that, 72% is scope three. It's that if you're in logistics, you're 72% of your customers issue.
Right.
That's how I kind of look at this, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. It's not all the ancillary accounting and marketing stuff. It's the moving products around and making products and all of the supply chain. It's
100%.
this chunk of course.
Yeah,
Uh,
and their only scope that they're responsible for that is not a three is the power used to produce that product, right? So all of that raw material and everything there and all the shipping and everything, that's scope three. That's why it's 72%. That's all the stuff outside the four walls of that place. That's scope
right.
three. And
Right.
that's you. That's you, Andy, if you're moving that freight.
That's right. Absolutely.
And
Yep.
and it's also you if you're an intermediary because you've got to try and figure out how to give them that information as well.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Now I'm hearing it more and more every week that it's becoming a part of every bid, every proposal, every quote. The shippers of the world, Target, Walmart, Wayfair, and on and on and on. they want to drive this down. And there's a section of this and it says sustainability is becoming business normal.
Yeah.
And it talks about, sustainability is a disruptive and I'm going to quote, an unavoidable dynamic as the combination of regulations, consumer behavior, and your downstream customer sustainability operations take shape. All companies need to wrestle with how to best adapt to a new business reality. And I'm seeing it and hearing it and feeling it. I hear it every week. It's
A
becoming
hundred.
normal.
I see it all the time, and I'm in the other side, the plastic sides, away from the fuel sides. These are specific things, right? I mean, and you start getting to the physical products that are being made. So all those raw materials, it's a huge issue there. But then you get into the fuel side, which is the fuel that feeds the fire to make all that stuff happen. You got to move, you got to fuel the factory, you got to do all that kind of stuff, right? And it's impacted there. So it is across the board something that you have to do. My contention is this: if you're running your company, you have a fiduciary responsibility to do this anyway. And it doesn't have to be the disruptor of your business. Because what you're really trying to do, Andy, and tell me if I'm wrong, is you're really trying to get the most efficient, lowest cost way to do your business with the highest quality of service and or product, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
okay, so reducing waste is one of them, and reducing cost. Can you help me with that, Andy?
Yes. I We're doing it every week, and it's so much fun because it's a net savings and it's reducing carbon and reducing greenhouse gas. It's doing that while saving companies money, and then they can take that money that they would have wasted and just put it into something else, initiatives that move the business forward. And I love that, being able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's what it means. It calls it disruption, but we've talked about disruption and ad nauseum over the last 10 years in logistics.
Right.
It became a buzzword like 10, 15 years ago, and it never went away.
Right.
And the best thing I ever saw was, disruption is a two-sided coin. On both sides, and one side's disrupted and one's the disruptor. You can easily flip it very easily and be the disruptor. You have to embrace that disruption and be the disruptor. And everybody can do this. It's fighting the change and not finding the way to embrace it that is going to help your company. And it started a lot with, we first started talking about this in blockchain and transportation association, et cetera, when we started talking to banks, et cetera. Bitcoin and digital currency was this disruptor. Except if the bank actually takes it and goes, wait a minute, we can produce more products with this and we can disrupt ourselves with this and actually become the disruptor. It's the same thing here, right? You bring this in and figure out how sustainability actually can help you become more efficient, grow your market share, build moats around that market share with the data and the ability to say, hey, I'm reducing my emissions, which is your scope 3, and gain those bids and hold on to them because you're providing auditable data, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Yep. We measure it. I have an engineering background, and we measure the impacts, and then the companies are able to use those internally and externally as well. So it's a lot of fun. I love this kind of work, both in the fuel reduction space and the plastics waste reduction and recycling space.
Yeah.
And the word disruptive, unfortunately, for a lot of companies, sustainability has been a bad disruptor. In other words, somebody walked in and said, I can do this for you, but it'll cost you $500,000. And they said, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
really want to drive my cost up. But with what we're doing, we're helping them drive their costs down while getting more sustainable results. So
Yeah, 100%. We're not trying to sell you an engine that costs twice as much as the other engine does. Not trying to sell you, a battery or an EV that costs, 3 times as much as your ICE or your internal combustion engine, right? That's not what's going on here.
That's right. That's
Yeah, it
right.
actually saves you money and reduces, because those things are there. And if it sounds too good to be true, I guess you're one of those people who didn't buy, ground floor Amazon stock either.
That's right. Yep. No, I've been in sales and marketing for a long time, and there's always
Yeah.
early adopters, mid-tier adopters, and late adopters.
Yes.
Just the way it is.
It
But
absolutely
we're
is.
rolling out with thousands and thousands of engines at this point, going global, and it's fun work. And then you and I working together on the plastics realm again, growing quickly, going overseas, going really well, and it's a lot of fun. So I love doing these sustainability shows. It's a lot of fun, and thanks again for coming on, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. I love doing it, and I love going through these articles. This was an interesting one. You better get ready. It's coming. I
It
mean,
is. It's coming. It's here. Actually, I feel like
yeah, yeah.
it's
Well, I
here.
mean, it's going to get very real for you real quick. It's already here, and you're about to feel it.
Right.
So you better jump on board.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that's going to do it for our show this week. Thanks for listening or watching, everybody, and we will see you again on the next one. Take care.
Right on. Peace and love.